My name is Frank Steslow. I'm from the Phillip and Patricia Frost Museum of Science in Miami, Florida. And we are one of the institutions that helped prepare the toolkit. But I wanted to also speak about some of the initiatives that we are doing in Miami to advance conservation efforts and citizen science. We are a new science museum, a new building. We have been an organization for many years, but we moved into our new facility in downtown Miami about 2 years ago. And we are, I think, a little bit uniquely positioned because we are both a science museum, aquarium, and planetarium. And we serve over 900,000 annual visitors, and our content focuses in large part on environmental and marine science. And I think everyone probably knows where Florida is and a little bit about Miami, but it's unique in that most of the land is about 1 to 2 meters above sea level. The population zone is about 30 miles wide, and it's sandwiched between the Atlantic Ocean and the Florida Everglades. And we're fortunate that we have 2 national parks, a national marine sanctuary, the largest freshwater wetland in North America, the Everglades, all adjacent to us. And it provides a real opportunity for us to educate our local visitors plus tourists about the importance of those systems and the changing climate. We are probably the most threatened urban area in the United States as it pertains to climate change, whether that's acidification of the oceans, the rising temperatures and or sea level rise. And we have the opportunity with natural systems such as mangroves, dune communities, coral reefs, to use those systems as they naturally have provided the resilience and the protection of the coasts. But many of those systems are impacted and need some recovery. In 2007, the museum began a program to restore some of the coastlines. We call it the Museum Volunteers for the Environment, and it leverages private money from corporations, volunteer support from those same corporations, and partnering with other schools and museum patrons to restore sections of the coastline in Florida. These areas are typically impacted and don't allow for the natural recruitment of plants like mangroves that are shore stabilizers, dune community plants like sea oats, and other things. And to date, that program has used over 9,000 volunteers and has restored over 25 acres of coastal habitat. The volunteers in these programs not only provide the labor, but they also monitor the sites after the restoration occurs to make sure that those sites are performing as they should as natural systems. And then in 2017, we expanded this program to include coral reefs. This program was called and is called the Inventors in Residence Lab. And this laboratory is part of the museum public experience. We have several scientists working within the museum, and visitors can engage with the scientists and ask questions during some special opening hours. One of these teams is working on an innovative way to restore reefs by culturing hardened corals, one particular species of coral, an Acropora cerviconis, which the idea will be to create a species or a series of colony types that are more resistant to the warming of the oceans. And the scientists are there in the lab engaging the public in this discussion while they're actually creating these coral fragments and these colonies. And then our volunteer corps will replant those colonies and monitor them on select reef tracks. And we also partner with the academic institutions around us, the University of Miami and Florida International University, to expand on these citizen science initiatives. We, the museum, can only do so much with our limited resources, but we have a vast amount of public coming to the museum that would like to engage in programs, and we are able to funnel those guests to other programs that they can be involved in. And why this matters, just in small part of sort of evidence of what these kinds of programs to achieve. This is a photograph that was taken 2 days after Hurricane Irma passed through Miami. This is one of our restoration sites on Virginia Key, which is a barrier island between the city of Miami and the Atlantic Ocean. And on this site, our volunteers have restored around 10 acres of beachfront and dune communities, and offshore of that is one of the areas where our reef restoration is taking place. You can see in this image the storm surge came right up the beach to the dune and was unable to erode this dune community. So small impacts, small protections can make a big lasting difference in what happens during some of these extreme events. This community was less than a year old when the storm came through. And I would just close by saying that informal science institutions have, I think, a very large role to play in not just educating the public, but engaging them in some type of action. And whether it's working in the environment where we're fortunate to have the proximity there or taking on other tasks, we have the attention of the public, and we can make a large difference there. Thank you. Merci.